Hey guys, doing something a little bit differently. We are going to chat with Troy Alston. He is a competitive stair climber. And after the Burj Khalifa came out, the workout for Dubai tomorrow, did some research on professional or competitive stair climbing and reached out to Troy, and he has agreed to come on here in a minute and talk about what these athletes can expect by taking on 160 stories. So hopefully here Troy jumps on, and here we go. Let's see. All right. Accept. There it is. Troy Alston, how are you doing, man?
Hey, I'm good. How about yourself?
Doing great. Thanks for joining. I reached out to you this afternoon after seeing the Dubai Fitness Championship has their athletes running up the Burj Khalifa, and came across you. It looks like you are ranked 10th in the world,
Yeah.
according to the Tower Running World Association. Can you give a little bit of background of what your experience is with stair climbing?
Yeah, sure. So I got started back in 2010, actually, and it was an alternative method for track and field. I needed 3 seconds to make the B standard in the 400-meter hurdles, and I live by the motto, if you want something that you never had, you do something you never did to get it. And that's what stair climbing was for me. Even though when I was in track and field in high school, we used to do stadiums to condition. And I didn't know it was an actual thing until I found this race in Orlando, Florida. Ended up doing the race, finishing second place. And I liked the fact that I had to actually challenge myself, so I was hooked after that. 1 month later, I did my second race in Fort Lauderdale, ended up winning the race and setting a new course record, and I was hooked ever since then.
Nice, nice. So, look like you have a website out there,
I do.
stairclimbelite.com. I was kind of looking through some of your stats there. You have quite a few course records. You're doing short climbs. You're doing long climbs. What are the long climbs look like? I mean, what's the most you've done in a competitive race?
So the longest race I've done thus far is going to be the Willis Tower in Chicago, which is 103 floors to over 2,000 steps. The mindset going into a race like that is a bit different. You definitely have to pace yourself. Don't go out too fast. Understand you are going to hurt. There's no way getting around that. So if you accept that fact that you're going to be in pain, that you're going to hurt, things are going to be a lot easier for you. I will encourage the competitors to get to a point to where you can actually meet with yourself. And if you can negotiate with your body to push past that threshold, I promise you, when you get to the top, whether you finish first or dead last, you're going to feel so accomplished.
Yeah, and you probably don't know this. They're actually going to be wearing a weight vest on top of it. So they're going to be
Wow.
having a 10-kilogram weight vest, or 22 pounds for the men and about 15 pounds for the women. So
Okay.
it's going to be an additional challenge just on top of running up those stairs. How long does it take you to run something like the Willis Tower?
I did it in 16 minutes and some change. I don't remember the seconds. I would have to take a look. It was a
Yeah.
couple years ago. But I finished Willis Tower in 16 minutes, Empire State in 13 minutes. And I actually went to Taiwan. So we have our world championship at Taipei 101 in Taiwan. And I finished the longer portion of that in about 16 minutes, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
Oh, wow. Okay. So do you know anybody that's done the Burj Khalifa before?
I don't think it's been an actual formal race there. And a lot of the competitive stair climbers have bucket lists to actually climb the tower.
That's
So when I heard the announcement, I actually saw one of our forums today, actually why some of the competitive stair climbers weren't invited to the actual event, but I see it's for CrossFit.
mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, I know that quite a few of them are pretty excited. It sounds like a really cool event for them to do. Um, when you are doing that, the Willis Tower, what part of you is it the quads, the hamstrings? Like, what is it that kind of affects you and really gets you, feeling sore and tired the most?
Quads. The quads is going to be the number one, and your lungs are going to burn as well. You may have a metallic feeling after the race. It's from an eroded airway because you're trying to suck in so much air. So don't be alerted when you get to the finish. You might have a cough as well. It's called trachea, and that's from the eroded airway. But to answer your question, your quads are going to burn the most, and the body is capable. You just got to convince the mind. And I think that's going to be the most challenging part, is how to push through, even though your quads is aching and your body is aching altogether, and you just want to stop. You just got to find a way to keep pushing through.
Yeah. Do you use the railings at all on those types of long runs? Are you using your arms, or are you really relying mostly on your legs?
I use the railing all the time.
Okay.
And it's not illegal. I don't know what the rules are going to be for this particular event, but I would highly recommend that you use the railing. Try to take as much off your legs as possible and just make it an entire body effort instead of just focusing entirely on the legs.
Yeah. Are you, I mean, you think if you're running that in 16 minutes, you're one of the best stair racers out there. If you were going to guess on what time you would do without a weight vest on the Burj Khalifa, I mean, any estimates of adding another 60 flights? Just taking that time alone, I think maybe the math is something around 24 minutes or something, 25, and it can't hold the same pace, right?
Well, ideally you would want to, but at some point in time, you're probably going to break down. Even in some of the shorter times, like a 40 or 50-story building, you want to try to get out as strong as you can and maintain, but eventually you slow down. It's just like a 400-meter race. You just break down, you slow down, but you hopefully train enough to try to maintain as much as possible.
Yeah. Peter asked one of the questions, do you skip steps? Or are you taking single steps? What is your kind of strategy for that?
So that depends on the building. So for example, in Taipei 101 in Taiwan, those stairs are extremely steep. It's almost like a 90-degree straight up step. You can't take two at a time. You literally have to step one step at a time, versus a climb that I just did in Syracuse, New York about 2 weeks ago. Those stairs are fairly small, so I can take 2 to 3 at a time depending on the momentum.
Got it. Okay. And what is the recovery like on something like that? I mean, are you feeling it the next day pretty bad?
It depends. To put it in context, when I did the Empire State Building a few years ago, I feel like I had to strip throat for a week. Yeah.
Yeah, so these guys are doing Friday morning, tomorrow morning, their local time. They're doing this at, I think, 8:30 in the morning. And then they end up doing a full-on CrossFit competition Saturday and Sunday. So they'll get about probably 20, 30 some odd hours of rest in between, but then they'll be doing all the standard CrossFit stuff. So I think it sounds like their legs are going to be pretty burned out, especially with a weight vest.
Well, one of my recovery methods, if they can do it, is definitely an ice bath. That's at the top of the list. If you can't do an ice bath, take an Epsom salt bath. I try to take an Epsom salt bath every night because of the workouts I do, and it does a pretty good job of recovering me for the next day.
I mean, ice baths are definitely big in the CrossFit community, so I could imagine them doing a lot of that if they can. Any last minute advice for these guys that we haven't talked about, or help them prepare for something like this monumental challenge?
The last thing I would just tell them is to give the absolute best. Dig deep, push 110%, leave everything on the stairs. And again, when you get to the top, whether you're in first place or last place, I promise you, you will feel fulfilled if you give 110%.
Yeah, we did get one question here as you're answering that about pacing. I mean, do you think of something like this as being more of a jog or a 5K race, something in between, or is it more like what they said, power hiking? I mean,
I would go ahead. I would highly recommend power hiking this. Yeah, don't run. Please don't. If you have to run to the stairwells, like to start the race, that's okay to trot. But when you get there, definitely pace yourself and power walk all the way to the top. And that's actually a really good technique for longer races, is to power walk. Personally, when it comes to 20 or 30 floors, I run. But when you get anything over 40 and you start getting into 50, 60, you may want to power walk. It's going to be the safer bet.
Got it. Awesome. Well, I appreciate you jumping on here in the last minute just to kind of get a sense of what these guys are going to be facing, because it's something that's completely different, not been done, I don't think, ever before in the CrossFit space, and getting your insight into it has been much appreciated.
Yeah, not a problem at all. And if any of the competitors have any questions, you can send me a DM. I'm more than happy to answer.
Yeah, what's your Instagram up here? Repeat it for everybody. Stairclimber Elite.
Yes.
So yeah, I appreciate it, and thanks a lot, Troy.
Yeah, not a problem. Best of luck.
Thanks.
Thanks.